This is the greatest SmackDown I have ever seen. This was the night NXT would make its name heard. NXT is tired of being the third wheel, the redheaded stepchild, the brand that the main roster ignores. Tonight, NXT made their statement, and NXT was like, "We are here to take over. You wanted us to Survivor Series, you got us. We fired the first shot. You're going to have to pay attention to us, and we had to see what you're going to do to us." Of course, everyone knows what happened if you are into the headlines on Twitter and whatnot, and you follow WWE. Everybody outside of 20 people, Brock Lesnar, of course, Paul Heyman, Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, and his crew, all left on their private jets. Everybody else was stuck in Saudi Arabia. So, how do you save a SmackDown where you had the Bray Wyatt advertised for Miz TV? You had Nikki Cross and Dana Brooke and Carmella versus Fire Designer and Bayley advertised, even though that match could still happen, but it did not. How do you save this show? Roman versus King Corbin was supposed to be the main event of this show. That did not happen because both of them are on their plane still, coming back to the States. How do you save this? Well, you open up the show with Brock Lesnar having a women's championship match between Bayley and Nikki Cross, and then you have NXT Invade, from Shayna Baszler to Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox, and Daniel Bryan takes on Adam Cole in the main event for the NXT Championship in a match that went at least 20 minutes. This was one hell of a show. Kayla Braxton was the person on ring introductions tonight because both the announcers for Raw and SmackDown were on the plane on the way back. This was one hell of a show. Definitely no Vince McMahon on this show whatsoever. No fingerprints for Vince McMahon were gone. This was a Triple H show. This was an NXT-ish show that you're going to get that is on a brand that is not called NXT. This was the closest you have seen NXT be like pretty much Triple H. If you wanted a preview to what Triple H would do when he takes over, this showed you that we don't need Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is old news. Vince McMahon should go. This showed you tonight that if Vince McMahon was to disappear tomorrow, they would have everything fine on Raw and SmackDown. Tonight's show was the best show of the entire year for Raw or SmackDown. NXT has still got some great shows that you're not going to be able to touch, but this was the best show on Raw, on SmackDown this entire year. Last year, 2017, and Raw for 2016. I know SmackDown did have some good shows in 2016, but I'm going to say that this is probably either the best show that SmackDown has ever had, or the best show since the era of the SmackDown 6. When Brock Lesnar faced off against Kurt Angle in an Iron Man match, The Undertaker was still the dead man of the American Badass. That era. That would probably be the last time that you saw anything relatively as good as this show tonight. This was fucking awesome. Now, we were all wondering, how are they going to explain both championships on SmackDown? Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, won the Universal title, and Brock Lesnar is still the WWE Champion. How are you going to have both championships on this show? Turns out, they won't, because quite simply, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, through Paul Heyman's words himself, has quit SmackDown because after what happened between Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar, which, by the way, if you missed Crown Jewel yesterday and you were like, man, I want to see Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar, that's the only match I wanted to see. Well, you're in luck. That was the very first match on SmackDown tonight was Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar replayed from Crown Jewel. Yes. Because it was a 2 minute and 30-second match or something, they played the entirety of the match on this show. When was the last time WWE ever did that? We're used to just seeing stills or videos leading up to a finish maybe, but an entire match? God damn, well, it is only it's only a 2.5 minute match, so they got away with it. Paul Heyman said Brock is pissed off. He's wondering, like, why would Brock be pissed off? You may ask. Well, after what he did here, they showed us the match, and then he's like, well, it was all going good until Rey Mysterio and they showed the entire second half of the beatdown after Brock Lesnar hit the F5 on Cain Velasquez. They showed Rey Mysterio making Brock Lesnar his bitch by beating him from pillar to post with a steel chair. So Paul Heyman says, they went to Vince McMahon and wanted him to bring Rey Mysterio to Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman's like, well, here's the really bad excuse of why that will not happen. Because the Raw superstars are contractually obligated to, or contractually tied down to USA, and the SmackDown superstars are contractually tied down to SmackDown. So Brock cannot be on SmackDown while Rey Mysterio is on Raw. They cannot interact except for at pay-per-views. I was fully expecting him to make a challenge for Survivor Series because it's Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. That did not happen. He said that Brock Lesnar hereby quits SmackDown. He's coming to Raw to get his hands on Rey Mysterio, and if anybody gets in his way, he is going to make them regret it. My question is for Fox. They wanted Brock Lesnar more than anybody in this draft because he represents real sports. He represents that realness that they want in SmackDown. Is Fox going to be happy that the guy that they wanted so badly is just up and saying, you know what, I'm done with SmackDown, I'm going back to Raw? That is the very first question I have to ask. Is like, was Fox in on this? Did Fox know that Brock Lesnar was only going to be on SmackDown for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, with a month? I'd say, yeah, about a month. Because yes, it is November 1st. So yeah, about a month. About a month, yeah. The first 4 episodes of SmackDown, and then he's going to go back to Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I don't know if they approved that, but that was that. They walk out, and they head to the back. We see them in the back, and we see them leaving. They turn to go down a hallway, and as they're going down a hallway, we see Triple H lean into camera view. The camera pans over. Triple H is looking over, and there is Shawn Michaels, decked out in NXT. We should have known what was going to happen. Who was coming out? No, we didn't know who was coming out, but we should have known something with NXT was going to happen. And lo and behold, NXT would make their mark. So the Brock Lesnar promo and Bayley versus Nikki Cross was definitely all the normal SmackDown you would have on this show. So I'd say about the first about 30 minutes of this show, maybe 35, maybe 40 minutes of this show was just a normal SmackDown. Brock Lesnar comes out, Paul Heyman cuts a promo, they leave, in comes Bayley and Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Had I known, I tweeted out really, this is the first match, this should probably be the main event. I didn't know where we were going after this, but I'm glad that I was wrong on that one because we had one hell of a main event. But you had Nikki Cross and Bayley. Sasha Banks, of course, was out with Bayley. I want to know something because Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were drafted to Raw, then traded to SmackDown. Where has Alexa Bliss been? Is Alexa Bliss injured? Is she ducking everything? Because I wonder if this is going to lead to Nikki Cross actually being the one to turn on Alexa Bliss, because Bayley was out there and Sasha Banks was out there and she's Bayley's best friend. Alexa Bliss has been saying that she's Nikki Cross's best friend, but she wasn't there when Nikki Cross needed her the most, and that is the SmackDown Women's Championship. So could we possibly see in the coming weeks that Nikki Cross is trying to take on Bayley and Sasha Banks at the same time? Nikki and Alexa Bliss is nowhere to be found, and when she comes back, Nikki Cross has had enough because she's been out here fighting these two on her own. and Alexa Bliss has been nowhere to be found, and maybe they have Nikki turn on Alexa Bliss. I don't have a clue, but that was that. So these two have a pretty good match here. Bayley takes the Cross to the top. They tangle. Bayley counters and Cross goes face first to the mat. Cross goes to the floor for a breather, but ends up trapping Bayley in the apron, working over with the elbow, with the forearms as she does for a pop. Banks comes over but she gets dropped as well. Cross brings it back into the ring. The referee checks on Bayley, possibly being hurt. As Cross goes to the top, Bayley has the referee distracted. Banks takes advantage and just shoves Nikki Cross off of the top rope. Bayley then grabs Cross and gets her into it looked like the original Dirty Deeds that Moxley, aka Dane Ambrose, used to do, but lower. Instead of being up top, it's down near the leg, and she hits her with some new move that I've never seen her do before. 1, 2, 3. Bayley retains the championship. After the match, we missed it on the first camera cut, but you see, we don't see who did it for a second, but Sasha Banks just goes careening into the ring post. The camera pans over, and it's Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler has invaded SmackDown. She is the first. She's the one of NXT who fires the first shot. She heads in the ring. She does a step-up knee to Bayley. She beats the fuck out of Bayley. She knocks Nikki Cross out of the ring. Does a couple more moves to Bayley. Takes her coat off. She took her coat off before she attacked Bayley. Beat her up a little bit. Went to go grab her coat to put it on. She's like, Bayley's still moving. I'm gonna go over there and fuck her up some more. So she does. And then she just takes some coat, puts it back on, raises her championship, and that is that. So Baszler gets a huge NXT chant as she's doing all this. Crowd is going absolutely nuts. They were in Buffalo, New York, so good place. Now, harken back to February when you had Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, and Ricochet make the main roster debuts. I can't remember where it was at, but that crowd was dead the entire time. This crowd was alive. When these new NXT superstars came out, when you saw NXT superstars beating up on the SmackDown superstars, you said the crowd was going crazy, chanting NXT, chanting the people's names. It was just some great... It was good. This show was hot right from here. Cut off that Brock Lesnar promo, and the rest of the show was just absolutely excellent. Pat McAfee joins commentary, replacing Aiden English, as it was Aiden English, Tom Phillips, and Renee Young, who were on commentary for the beginning of the show. And then Aiden English just disappeared, and out came, and Pat McAfee was there. And I'm like, not Pat McAfee. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like Pat McAfee's. He's just too out there. He's too over. He's too over the top. He just says shit, and none of it makes any sense. And he's just absolutely fucking annoying. But Kathy Kelly is backstage with Sami Zayn. She asks Sami Zayn about what happened so far tonight. He says it has been a pretty weird night. He sees a pattern. Maybe NXT is here tonight. He says NXT needs to watch where they put their nose in tonight, and if one of them steps to him, it'll be pretty bad news for... And he looks to the side, and it's Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. Yes. The Glorious Bros. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it. Yeah, I'm just going to say that. The Glorious Bros, Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, just make their debut. Sami Zayn tries to talk down like he's trying to kiss their ass. Says, hey, look, I got an NXT shirt on and it's just a black shirt. He's like, okay, I'm going to go to my car. I'm going to get my shirt. You guys stay right here. He starts to leave. They start to follow. He runs towards gorilla position we pan back into the ringside area. And he's running down to the ring. Matt Riddle, in flip-flops, mind you, is running down to the ramp. Renee Young's like, he ran that fast in flip-flops? Goddamn. Gets into the ring. Final flash, Bro Derek, Keith Lee up top with a absolute beautiful moonsault. Hey, Charlotte Flair, listen to me. Charlotte Flair, take notes because Keith Lee does I have a better chance of being able to be, I have a better chance of hitting 1 million subscribers than you being doing a picture-perfect moonsault. This guy gave you the blueprint of how to do a fucking good moonsault. A guy that size should not be doing moonsaults, and that guy that size is doing moonsaults. In jeans, no less. But, so yes, they destroy him. Both the music plays. First Keith Lee's music plays. They do the fist bump, and then Matt Riddle's music plays. So that was that. SmackDown is just flying off the charts. The best SmackDown we've ever seen. Pat McAfee continues to say, November 1st, 2019, greatest SmackDown of all time. I have to agree, though. This was an absolute epic and awesome SmackDown. Tom Phillips says, The Miz will interview himself. Miz is out here for Miz TV, and I noticed right away, he's got his jacket on, he's got his Miz's awesome shirt on, but he's dressed to wrestle. The Miz was dressed to wrestle, so I'm like, who's coming out from NXT to take on The Miz and hopefully beat The Miz? He mentions how his guest tonight was supposed to be the new Universal Champion, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, but he was unable to make it due to travel issues from Saudi Arabia. Miz shows his footage of Wyatt beating Seth. We didn't get the full match here, but they did show a lot more video than they usually do. Which I didn't see Seth Rollins getting blasted with pyro in his face. He's like, oh my eyes, and the Fiend coming up behind him live. But still, seeing that on tape, and they actually showed that, not in stills, but actually on video form, that was just fucking awesome. He says, he keeps talking about how NXT is here, the superstars, Shayna Baszler, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee. He's still talking. He's trying to talk himself up. But out comes the Sicilian psychopath himself, Tommaso Ciampa. He makes his way to the ring as more NXT chants, and he takes the mic. He says Miz TV is supposed to be must-see TV, and Miz is supposed to be one of the most must-see superstars. He says, I am Tommaso Ciampa, and I am the greatest sports entertainer of all time. Miz stands here like the world is supposed to revolve around him, but it's time someone came out here to show him where he sits on the food chain. Miz is everything that is wrong with Raw and SmackDown. Some fans boo. Ciampa goes on about what he does in NXT and says, while Miz plays the part, he is the part. Calls him boy, of course. Miz talks about he knows who Ciampa is and what he does. He thought Ciampa would. He's like, I've heard people talk about him. They want to see the Miz and Ciampa go face to face on the microphone. But I wish you would have came here with something more original. I've been hearing the same shit for 15 years. Of course, they didn't say shit, but the same shit for 15 years. People have been telling me that I'm just here acting. I'm just here. I'm not trying. I'm just here to be famous. I'm not really caring about anything. And Ciampa here to make a statement, then make the statement. Miz gets closer to Ciampa's face. Ciampa says, those sound like fighting words. Miz says, you, me, right now. They drop the mics. They're ready to fight. I noticed during, we were at a commercial break, we come back, but I noticed that Tommaso Ciampa was not wearing his knee brace that he usually wears. That big, bulky knee brace, that a guy who had knee surgery about 2 years ago would be wearing and still wears in NXT. So I don't know if it could have been one of those things where he wants to wrestle this match and hit like when Kevin Nash came to WrestleMania 31 to do the spots with the NWO versus DX. He didn't bring his knee brace, so yeah, he had a very his knees got really messed up that night. Maybe Tommaso Ciampa wasn't expected. Of course, he wasn't expected to be here. This was all because of the delays in Saudi Arabia. But so he probably just fast-tracked himself to NXT, to where he was at, to Buffalo, and didn't bring his knee brace with him. So, yeah. Tommaso Ciampa, it just looked really weird not seeing Tommaso Ciampa wearing his knee brace. Just a little observation right there. Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz. This was a really good match. Ciampa, Miz really seemed to do well together. Ciampa keeps control of the match when we get a little further into the match with the big knee in the corner for a close two. Miz blocks the fairy tale ending. They tangle and Miz chops the knee out from behind. Ciampa fights the figure 4 attempt off. Miz avoids a powerbomb, and it looks very bad. That is one thing about this. There's two things about this match. That Miz seemed like he did not want to go up for the fairy tale ending or a powerbomb. It just looks so bad. Kicks the leg out and drops Ciampa with a big DDT. Miz with the figure four in the middle of the ring. Ciampa goes to the ropes, but Miz keeps it locked in. Ciampa rolls over to reverse it. More back and forth until Ciampa breaks at the bottom rope. Miz goes to the figure four again, but Ciampa rolls him up for a 2 count. Ciampa would block a big kick for another roll-up. Ciampa with a single leg crab. More back and forth and pin attempts. They trade big chops and knees and get the defeat. Ciampa misses face first in the corner, and Miz follows up with a big corner clothesline. Miz comes to the top, but Ciampa nails him with a step-up knee. Ciampa then goes up and hits the fairy tale ending, but man, Miz just like he did not want to do. It just felt like Miz did not want to do this move. Because Ciampa, usually when you pick somebody up in the fairy tale ending, which Christopher Daniel uses it, it's called the Angel's Wing, same move. You pick the guy up, they're supposed to be laying straight. Like, they're supposed to have their legs behind them. Miz decided when he's going to get picked up that he's going to keep his legs as down as much as he can, so when Ciampa does the fairy tale ending, there's a light chance that Miz is going to get injured because he's too fucking lazy to get his legs up enough to when Ciampa does the fairy tale ending, it does not injure him. So if Miz got hurt in this, if Miz got had any tweak to his neck or anything and was hurt a little bit, it's his own goddamn fault because he decided I'm going to be an asshole and try and botch the fairy tale ending so I make Ciampa look bad. That is on Miz, and that is not something you should fucking do. You get put into a move, you should take the fucking move right, but don't go into the fucking ring ever. Ciampa and Miz were having a pretty good match here, and Miz trying to do everything he can to sabotage the ending of that match. Fuck off on Miz. That's fucking bullshit. You don't do that. After the match, Ciampa stands tall and has his arm raised as we go to the replays. Tom Phillips, who was on commentary, is pretty much beside himself that The Miz got pinned by Tommaso Ciampa on SmackDown. He's like, Ciampa just beat an NXT superstar just beat a SmackDown superstar in their own damn brand. So, yeah. The whole SmackDown vs. Raw vs. NXT thing is definitely going to be interesting as we get closer to Survivor Series. Again, Miz should be ashamed of himself for fucking trying to botch that entire move. If he got injured, it's his own goddamn fault. You see Daniel Bryan backstage walking. He stopped at Triple H and Shawn Michaels. He's like, "Why are you here?" They said, "Oh, we're just visiting." Like, it just seems how we were called out. I was at home watching Crown Jewel, which he wasn't. He was in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And Shawn Michaels was just watching at home, and we were just watching Crown Jewel. And on the screen, it said, Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. And all three brands will do battle at Survivor Series. And we're just here to make a statement, pretty much. Bryan then says, well, if you want to make a statement, then how about you meet in the ring right tonight? Triple H gets into his face. He's got that evil, I'm going to kick your ass face on. He's like, well, I kind of didn't bring my gear. All of a sudden behind him, Shawn Michaels is taking his jacket off. You think it's going to be Shawn Michaels. And Triple H is like, I didn't bring my gear, so, and I know somebody, if you really want to get into a fight, then I know somebody, and he looks over at Shawn, and Shawn's like, oh, it's cold in here, so he puts his jacket back on. He's like, it's not him. Champ! Adam Cole walks over, and Bryan says, let's do this right. I want this, Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, NXT Championship. Triple H says, Bryan is a gambling man, and he likes it. Cole says, and he asks Cole, is that works for you? Cole's like, that works for me. Triple H makes the match. He walks off with Michaels while Cole and Bryan stare each other down, and we go to commercial break. So everything just is getting better and better and better. This is how a fucking show should be. You start off hot. If you start off with a hot match, I don't count the Brock Lesnar stuff. That is different. And then you just have things escalate to where you have a big crescendo at the end of the night. This is how a fucking main roster show should be. We've been getting match shows like this in NXT for a very fucking long time. This is what Triple H should hopefully bring to the table every single week when Vince McMahon's gone. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were supposed to face Carmella and Dana Brooke. So they took that 6-woman tag match that was advertised and just cut it down to a tag team match and took the women's championship, the 2 women's championship wrestlers, like the champion and the challenger, and put them in a match themselves. But we see Carmella's music hits. No Carmella. Where's Carmella at? Nothing's going on. Cut to the back. We see the EST of NXT, Bianca Belair, beating down on Dana Brooke. Carmella is down by a couple crates. And then she picks up and deadlifts Carmella above her head and throws her over a couple of those crates. And she just is happy for what she did. Neville and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose in the ring wondering what the hell happened. Out comes Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox. Now, first off, later in the night, they've had all the NXT superstars come out. Dakota Kai was in the building. We couldn't get Team Kick. Just a little nitpick there, but we couldn't get Team Kick. However, Rhea Ripley's like, it looks like you guys don't have any opponents. Well, you do now. This also confirms that Rhea Ripley has chosen Tegan Nox as her first member of her team for the War Games match for the women going into NXT. TakeOver War Games the night before Survivor Series. If you want to know my thoughts on that, go check out the NXT review that I did yesterday. I gave my thoughts on why I think that it's the wrong time for the women to have a War Games match and why I believe it is just feels like it's being forced because then WWE has to do a first time ever for everything. They head to the ring. They head to the ring and they just beat the living piss out of Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. Basically, Sonya Deville and Tegan Nox battle on the outside until Tegan Nox throws her over the announce desk, throwing her into Todd Phillips, Pat McAfee, and Renee Young, who could not get out of the way in time. And Tegan Nox says, "That's how we do this in NXT, baby." And back in the ring, you had the Chinese Wizard and the standing reverse cloverleaf, and Mandy Rose taps out. So again, it just like you go from like holy shit to it's just like this is getting great, good. And after the break, we had after the match, Tegan Nox stands tall with Rhea Ripley. They announce the site Cole versus Brian, which is next. So we go to break, we come back, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels are at ringside. Stephanie McMahon is out next. She grabs a mic on stage and gives us props to the universe for the women's evolution. Leads to a video of Lacey Evans and Natalya having their history-making match at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. If you don't care, as I really don't care because it's not something that we had anything to do with. Quite honestly, we had nothing to do with Natalya and Lacey Evans having a match on there yesterday. I don't know how much money Vince McMahon had to give back to the Saudi government for that to happen. I don't know who had to pleasure who. All I know is they say we were the reason for it. I don't buy that for a second. We had nothing to do with the Saudi Arabian government. Maybe Vince McMahon sat there and got on his hands and knees and begged and kissed the ring or something to get that match. I don't know. I really don't care. But if you're already tired of hearing about this, be prepared because we're going to be hearing this until probably WrestleMania. We have our main event of Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan for the NXT Championship. With this match, the NXT Championship has been defended on Raw, SmackDown, NXT UK, and main event, as well as NXT. The only place that the NXT Championship has not been defended is 205 Live. It's also been defended at Evolve, Beast in the East. Am I thinking of anything else? Am I missing anything? So yes, NXT's main championship has been on almost everything, and that is awesome. Triple H and Shawn Michaels are watching at ringside. This was awesome. Roderick Strong made an appearance as he came out with Adam Cole, and Adam Cole's like, you could see it without him saying it, or you hearing it. He's like, don't worry about it, I got this. They do a fist bump, and then we head to the ring. Triple H and Shawn Michaels stand up as Cole heads to the ring and pose. Caleb Braxton does the formal ring introductions, and we go to commercial. Again, now before this match, and this got kind of like dumb. Tom Phillips is talking about what happened with the wildfires in California. That's not the dumb part. I mean, while they're doing this, they have a camera focused on the ring, so you just see the referee holding his hands back like to each side, just holding these guys back. It's entirely like encouraging people to donate to the victims of California wildfire. If you had the money to do what you can to help the victims of California wildfires, that's not something that is cool whatsoever. But it's like you could have had the announcers, like you could have put the camera on the commentary team and had them read this out. So you're not just seeing Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan sitting there for about 2-3 minutes as he's reading this, just sitting there like, come on, let's get this match going. Yeah. And again, this was awesome. This was the best main event on free TV, on Raw, or SmackDown, probably even NXT. I'm going to say this is one of the top 10 best matches on television this year. Because I'm just saying, like, Daniel Bryan, apparently this is the first time Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan have ever locked up in all of their years. Which, if that's the case, that is fucking cool. These guys beat the hell out of each other. There were multiple times where it looked like Daniel Bryan might actually win the NXT Championship. I was fully expecting that we were going to have some kind of invasion angle where we did have invasions the entire night, but I was really expecting for Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly to be somewhere. They come out and they just start beating and hammering the hell out of Daniel Bryan. Superstars from SmackDown come out to try and even the odds. Everybody from NXT comes out who's not, and then you have some of the women come out, and you see the women in the back fighting with the women from NXT. I was just hoping for all that to happen, but none of that happened, which is fine. You didn't need to have that. This is how you do things right. You go out there, you show that you're the superior brand by beating people on their own brand, and you come out and you say, we fired the first shot, and that is exactly what they did. Bryan got some uppercuts. Cole comes out back out of nowhere and rocks Bryan to the mat. Cole sells an arm injury and covers for a 2 count. Cole goes for a suplex, but Bryan resists. They tangle some more and both go over the top rope. In the Lex and Bret, wasn't that Lex Luger and Bret Hart from the Royal Rumble 1994? 1993, right? No, 1994. No, 3. No, 4. Yeah, 4. The 94 Rumble, wasn't that how they did that? Was the suplex, they both fall over type thing? They did that exact same thing here. Bathroom break, and oh my god, this is logical. No rest hold. They're battling to try and they're trying to get a backslide on each other instead of somebody being down in the rest hold. There were no rest holds in this match that I could see. That was great. Bryan flies out of the ring with a knee to the face. Triple H and Shawn Michaels look are a bit concerned. Bryan brings it back into the ring, goes to the top for a missile dropkick, gets hyped as the yes chant starts up. Bryan with a running dropkick in the corner. Cole counters to the top rope. Hurricane Rana and rolls Bryan for a 2 count. Bryan rocks Cole with strikes and runs the rope, but Cole drops him with a big super kick, which looked fucking awesome. The timing of Adam Cole is just spectacular. From the super kick to Aleister Black, he was trying to do his backflip off the middle rope, to Bryan going with the running knee just to get hit to eat a super kick, was absolutely fantastic. Bryan ends up sending Cole into the ring, out of the ring in front of Triple H and HBK. They get up and move before that happens. Bryan goes back in and runs the ropes again for a suicide dive, but Cole meets him at the ropes with a huge super kick to the head. Bryan goes down and we go to commercial. Moving a little bit further on, the fans are chanting, "This is awesome," which this match absolutely deserved. This is awesome. Cole exposes his knee and charges for the last shot, but Bryan counters and applies a single leg crab. Cole tries to break it, and Triple H stands up and looks worried. He is concerned because they were mentioning all night that his champion could be losing to SmackDown's Daniel Bryan, and that would change everything when it comes to NXT because Daniel Bryan would be champion. Bryan drops Cole into another leg submission in the middle of the ring. Cole finally gets to the bottom rope and breaks it. Bryan starts talking trash, saying, "You want to be a champion? You want to be a champion? Get up." While kicking him around in the ring, Cole fights back as he does. Cole drives Bryan into the mat for a close 2 count. Bryan goes right into the bell lock in the middle of the ring. Look like we might have a new NXT champion. They actually, if you were on the edge of your seat for this match, this was one of those moments like, will Adam Cole actually tap? Will the Undisputed Era get involved? What is going to happen? But Cole ends up breaking it. Bryan gets both of Cole's arms and just stomps on his neck. He applies the bell lock again, and it's like, are we going to have a new NXT champion? This could be it. Adam Cole could be tapping right here. Triple H and Michaels watch closely. The hold is finally broken. They both look relieved. Bryan delivers the yes kicks as Cole tries to get up. Cole ducks the roundhouse kick, which I believe Daniel Bryan hasn't hit a roundhouse kick after the couple yes kicks in about, 2-3 years? And, 2-3 years of him being active. And rolls Bryan up for a 2 count. More back and forth between the two. Bryan with a kick to the head. Cole meets Bryan with a huge super kick. Cole goes up top, hits a Panama Sunrise, which is, of course, the Canadian Destroyer. Cole then hits the nut ropes, nails the last shot for the 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole retains his championship in a fantastic main event. After the match, Triple H, Shawn Michaels come into the ring. Roderick Strong comes in the ring to join Cole with their titles. All the other superstars flew into Tommaso Ciampa. Leo Rush was there. He's going to be on 205 Live. Isaiah Swerve Scott was on 205 Live tonight, I believe, too. So he was there. Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, Tegan Knox. Everyone else, Tommaso Ciampa, Shayna Baszler were all there. There was more of a dozen superstars, including Cruiserweight Champion Leo Rush. Triple H and Shawn Michaels joined them. Triple H takes Mike and says RAW and Smackdown can have a battle with NXT at Survivor Series if they want to fight. And he says this is his like, if you want to go to a war, you go to war. You need an army. And if you look to your friends. He walks over to Shawn Michaels and does the 2 sweet. As Shawn Michaels is standing on the turnbuckle, you go to your family. This is our army. We fired the first shot. Raw, SmackDown, let's see what you got. Just remember one thing. We are NXT. Mic drop. Theme for NXT hits. Superstars are all celebrating. Triple H stands tall with Cole and Shayna Baszler both holding their championships. And the show goes off the air. Well, NXT just became the most must-see show this coming Wednesday for WWE. I'm still going to watch it on Thursday. AEW is definitely going to be on Wednesday. I've already obligated to do that. But this is going to be the most must-see, must-watch episode of NXT since it went to the USA Network. I don't know if NXT is going to be making an appearance on Raw. It should, maybe. I'm not sure. But this was the absolute best show of the year, the best show of the decade, in my opinion, for sure. This was a fantastic show. Brock Lesnar quitting SmackDown, I think, is the only weak point because it kind of is a lazy way to get SmackDown to have a championship on Raw. I wonder how Fox is going to feel about Brock Lesnar just quitting in kayfabe, quitting SmackDown. The whole contractually obligated to Raw and SmackDown thing, we all know that's bullshit. But I wonder how Fox is going to feel with SmackDown losing Brock Lesnar when they wanted Brock Lesnar over pretty much almost anybody outside of probably Roman and The Fiend. So, unless it comes out that Ronda Rousey is going to SmackDown when she comes back, I don't know. Coming back, speaking of Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler attacking Bayley and Sasha Banks also has a little bit of a nugget too. One of the biggest things we have been talking about for a very long time is the 4 horsewomen of WWE versus the 4 horsewomen of MMA. And it just seemed right to have Shayna Baszler come out and waste both 2 of the 4 horsewomen of WWE and NXT and the women's champion Bayley and Sasha Banks. Could we actually see inclinations of that actually coming to fruition for WrestleMania next year? Because I don't think it's going to be happening at Survivor Series. I think that's a little too far away from that. You would have had to have Ronda Rousey, I think, back by now. But we could see maybe, just maybe that's back on the table, because you do have under contract for all. You have all of them under contract, and it could be one of those things that we were building towards, the four horsewomen of WWE versus the four horsewomen versus horsewomen. I think that would be fucking fantastic. SmackDown hit a home run tonight. I think they hit a grand slam. NXT showed you why it is the top brand in all of WWE. Hell of a main event. Great to see Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Shayna Baszler, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole all get great reactions. Tegan Nox, Rhea Ripley too. All of them get great reactions. The crowd knew who they were. The crowd went on their hands. They weren't sitting on their hands. You heard NXT. These guys were getting cheered. They were getting their dues, and it fucking was great. So let's see what happens on Monday. But most importantly, let's see what happens on Wednesday. This has been your SmackDown review for November 1st, 2019. We are 3.5 weeks, like 3 weeks out, I guess, or 3.5 weeks out until Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver War Games. Just think about this. In about 22 days, 21 days or so, we'll be sitting here watching NXT. We'll be reviewing NXT TakeOver War Games, and then the very next day, Survivor Series with NXT involved in both of them. And I also fully expect, because it is Survivor Series weekend, and Raw and SmackDown superstars are going to be there as well, I fully expect the invasion to not end until TakeOver is over. I think it's going to be Raw and SmackDown versus NXT. They said Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. That will be interesting. That will be awesome. And I can't wait to see what happens. This was the greatest show of the decade. When we look back at Raw, SmackDown, and NXT this year, this will be the greatest show for Raw and SmackDown for sure. NXT, of course, had some great episodes better than this one. But for a main roster show that people still say is just the main roster of Raw and SmackDown, this beat whatever the fuck Raw did by a mile. I can fully expect to see those ratings for SmackDown go to the 2.5 again after this show. This was great. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to check this show out, because this was awesome. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, follow me on Twitter at The France Club, follow me on twitch.tv/The France Club, go over to The France Plays, check out my Curse of Osiris playthrough from Destiny 2. We'll be doing Warmind in a couple days as well, just getting that done. Forsaken's going to have to wait, because I can't get Forsaken because you have to pay for that one, and I don't have the funds for it right now. But eventually Forsaken and Shadowkeep will be done as well. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys Sunday.